Hello there. Hey, thanks for joining us today. We're walking through the Holy Week, or the last week of Jesus' earthly ministry. Sunday we started on the triumphal entry. Yesterday we talked about cleansing the temple. Today, on Tuesday, on the day that he goes to the temple and teaches, I want to talk a little bit about the road trip, okay? The travel on the way from Bethany actually to Jerusalem, and what he had to say to his disciples. So you can find this in Mark chapter 11, and also in Matthew chapter 21. Let's pick it up in Mark chapter 11, verse 20. Follow along with me. As they were passing by in the morning, they saw the fig tree withered from the roots up. Being reminded, Peter said to him, Rabbi, look, the fig tree which you cursed has withered. And Jesus answered, saying to them, have faith in God. Truly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be taken up and cast into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that what he says is going to happen, it will be granted him. In this conversation, remember this, the fig tree that he cursed the day before, and now they walk up on it, and it's a withered fig tree. When we were in Israel, we got to see those trees, much different than I had anticipated, much different than I had in my mind, a much larger tree than I had in my mind when I pictured this story. So as they come across this fig tree that's withered, and it captures Peter's attention, it captures the disciples' attention, Jesus uses this as an opportunity to teach about prayer. We're in the midst of a time when we need to understand what prayer is about, how powerful prayer can actually be. And so in this statement, Jesus talks about a mountain and a sea. Now, I don't know about you, when I read that scripture, as I've read that before, I picture in my mind a mountain, and you want to throw into the sea. And I think, let's see, we got a mountain, we want to throw into the Pacific or the Atlantic. It's not what he's talking about. Interestingly enough, that was a particular mountain that he's looking at. It's a mountain that they could see. And you could think of a couple different mountains, but the mountain that stands out is what they call the Herodium. Herodium was a kind of at least fashioned or modified by the Roman emperor and the Roman governor. And what happens is, here is this fortress that Herod has built up, all right? This fortress that Herod has built up, it's modified. And the sea that he's talking about is the Dead Sea. Those are the reference points that they could actually see as they made their way from Bethany to Jerusalem. As we're looking at that, the Herodian represented everything that oppressed his disciples. The Dead Sea was that salty sea. Interestingly enough, in Jewish tradition, when you found an item that was used for pagan worship, you were supposed to take it to the Dead Sea and throw it in there where it would be consumed by the salt water. So as Jesus is walking along, and he wants to say to them and teach them about prayer and the power of prayer. That's what happened to the fig tree, right? God can do that. And God can deliver them from this oppression. They're actually looking for him to deliver from. God can deliver them from the oppression if they pray and they believe. And that's what Jesus was talking about. I want to think about how I pray. Do I pray with expectation, or do I not pray with expectation? He's walking past a fig tree that is withered up. And it's representation of a people who were to bear fruit as they were to be a light to the world, and they weren't. And I've got that in the back of my head as I read that, and I read about how if I'll pray in faith, God can answer above and beyond. I once heard said that we are not praying big enough. And so I want to challenge you to pray. I want to challenge you to pray not just a little bit beyond your means, but that when it's answered, only God can receive the credit. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again later.